Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So, yes, we've decided that in ideas, we're going to look into some videos, specifically referring to the video of Tony. Sino interview ni Tony?
Saga.
Interview ano? But is yung trending, yung interview niya kay Bongbong Marcos. Bakit kaya trending?
Siguro masyadong sikat yung kakausapin or mayroong controversy.
Ano kaya controversy?
Hindi saka lalo yung interview naman, sikat naman po yung host at saka yung kanyang vlog. Sikat na sikat. So, panoorin, tingnan natin siguro kung and then let's have some comment or share our ideas.
Our ideas does not, I mean, the comments that we're about to make is based on our own opinion na we don't represent any group. Nor is this hindi din siya for, we're not campaigning for anyone. Intentionally, this discussion is for the students somehow might be enlightened on yung laman because nakita natin yung mga comments online. And meron namang ano daw, it's what's that? Getting ready for the election. Okay, let me play the video.
Okay. Ilang minutes yung video na ito?
Today, I'm with a man who needs no introduction.
28 minutes.
28 minutes. Okay.
And look at the introduction, how the host introduced Bongbong. Ito, trademark to ng, I don't know if I see somebody wearing like that. Yung mga
Kadakilaan. Sulong sa kadakilaan.
Yeah, nice because it's sulong sa kadakilaan. What I mean is, whenever I see older people, like our fathers, they love wearing yung mga t-shirt na binibigay from politicians.
Okay.
It connotes simplicity. It looks simple, lalo na if that person wearing it, he seemed to, he can afford to.
Sino kaya tong nakatalikod na to?
Kaya nga, kita yung cameraman yun, nasa mirror.
Okay. Isang dakila.
Something is shown in there. There's a message being relayed.
Okay. Okay.
Today, I'm with a man who needs no introduction.
Pag ikaw in-introduce, sinabing a man with no introduction.
Actually kasi, pag may mga guest ikaw sa iyong show, talagang nire-research mo yan, binibigyan mo na magandang introduction yan. At saka pinapasikat, pinapa-uplift mo, pinapakilala. Kasi yan pero ito ay no need of introduction yung tao na guest niya ngayon. Simply it's because sikat na sikat, kaya lang kilala. Hindi lang dahil siya yon, si Bongbong Marcos, but it's because of kung sino yung pinanggalingan niya, yung tatay niya, family niya. Yes, that's I think no need of introduction. Okay.
Even the millennials, yung mga they have an idea who Bongbong Marcos is. Sino ang ama. And I believe the reason why Tony in-interview siya for that day. I don't know if that's the reason. Probably one of the reasons. Birthday niya daw. Is it true?
Yeah.
So the interview was aired on his birthday. I don't know. It was aired or the interview was done on the date of his birthday with whatever that is.
Pareho tayo hindi natin alam. Pero
Mhm.
yung pagkakaalam natin, uli tayo sa balita, ito ay sumikat na bago natin nalaman na ito pala ay mainit na balita sa, ano tawag nito? Yung parang kumakalat sa YouTube or sa buong Pilipinas. Pagkatapos ito ay para sa atin, we take it as a nice and good opportunity na marinig din at mapag-aralan at ma-share din kung ano yung ating ideas. Okay po ba yan? Tama po ba yan na pagkakasabi?
Tama. Kasi online, nakikita natin yung mga comments. Ang dami mga comments ng mga iba edad. Merong comments from mga medyo matanda na. Yung komento nila, isa siyang paraan to pave the way for Bongbong Marcos for a certain spot in the coming election. Sa kabataan, yung mga younger ones, it would make them understand, maybe educate them on who the Marcoses are, ano yung karanasan ng Marcoses. Kaya lang natatakot yung mga opponents because this probably could put in the minds a positive impact sa mga yes.
Biglang,
Yes. Sila kasi pag nagpili ng bobotohin, if they choose somebody to vote, tropa yan. Hindi yan, they will not choose somebody to vote na mag-isa. So, this has been a hot issue. So, a man that needs no introduction. Siguro dahil si Tony, itong host na to, ninong niya daw. O, di ba? Nakita ko sa mga comments, ninong niya daw sa si Bongbong Marcos. And then, since it's birthday, so siguro, they've decided to have the interview. And then, previous week, when was that? The celebration of, we celebrated something?
martial law?
Yes, okay. It was an issue. It was timely. Okay, let me play the video.
We have with us the one and only Mr. Bongbong Marcos.
Hello. So happy to be here.
Thank you very much.
No, I thank
Sir Chris, look at the socks. I noticed. Ito yung una kong nakita. Ano? Where is this? The home? The home of Bongbong Marcos?
Yes, I think so. Bongbong Marcos.
Ganda. Okay.
Kasi pinanood ko din yung ibang mga Tonitalks. Maraming ano naman.
Iba-iba. Iba-iba yung location niya, no?
Most of the time or many times naman siya pumupunta sa lugar or sa bahay ng interviewin niya. Or minsan, yes, iba-iba. I don't know exactly, but maganda yung style at saka maayos yung Tonitalks. At saka ito ngayon ay magandang episode, kumbaga, ng Tonitalks.
Maganda siya. Panoorin natin.
Okay.
Nakakulutan natin ng lesson.
you for taking the trouble. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing us into your beautiful home. Do you have a favorite part here in your house?
Well, having grown up as a student, I got used to living in one room.
Yung style ng questioning. What's your favorite place in this house? Tapos sabi ni Bongbong, it's the room because they want to put in. Kasi nung nag-aral siya, nasanay siya, nasa room lang siya. So, naipasok yung kanyang picture. Anong school yon? Saan siya graduate?
Ay, hindi ko na parang Harvard na yun. Pwede mo naman ibalik konti. Pero isa sa narinig ko doon, natandaan ko, sabi ni Bongbong Marcos, thank you for taking the trouble, accepting the trouble. Ano ba yun?
Very witty, ano?
Sige nga. Hindi, pwede mo balikan or okay na lang skip natin yun.
Parang idol mo na si Bongbong Marcos.
Oo nga eh. Kasi
The
hindi
beer.
ko sila
Thank you.
nasaksihan. Hindi ko nasaksihan ng naabutan ko sa mga kapanahonan nila. Pero kumbaga wala pa ako kamuang-muang kung anong mga pangyayari sa paligid o kung anong mga role or anong mga yes. But their names are very kumbaga sikat na sikat, kilalang kilala.
So, alam ko na pagdating ng election, hindi na nagka-campaign na, Sir Chris. Yes, okay, let's try to look at it. Parang it's 28-minute interview.
Sige.
Ano tayo? Pupuntan tayo ng tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
No, I thank you for taking the trouble. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing us into your beautiful home. Do you have a favorite part here in your house?
Well, having grown up as a student, I got used to living in one room. So I have my desk in my bedroom. So I basically spend most of my time when I'm in the house. I was
Feeling ko kasi pag inintroduce yung kung saan ka nag-aral, kung ano yung school na pinanggalingan mo, it is a big impact. No, it is a big impact. So pag pinakita na nag-aral ka sa ibang bansa, from another country, it creates a different kind of feel. Isipin ng tao, this person is a learned individual. Maganda yung kanyang edukasyon, matalino. Iba yung dating pag ang school ay from another country. Is it true these days that only those who are magaling could study in another place? Into consideration our situation now, may pandemya. Ano, Sir Chris? Kasi nakikita ko ngayon online, those universities, they have their, what's that, banners? How do you call that? That they are trying to campaign or to encourage students to enroll in their university through the online
Yes.
So iba yata yung sitwasyon noon kesa ngayon. Now it's reachable. Diba?
Noon it's a very big deal, kumbaga. Napakalaking bagay na makapag-aral ka sa ibang bansa. Lalo na napakahirap pumunta sa ibang bansa.
Yes.
Siguro hindi naman, sa panahon siguro noon, kasi yung relationship ng Philippines sa ibang outside Philippines ay siguro medyo madali. I don't know exactly, but parang madali mag-travel sa ibang bansa noon kung galing ka sa Philippines papunta sa ibang bansa. Yung mahirap lang noon ay yung tawag nito, financials or yung of course yung magsusupport sa iyo. So kung may pera ka, may resources, madali mag-travel. Kasi karamihan sila Rizal, yung mga sikat o yung mga kilala dati dito sa atin ay parang kadalasan sa ibang bansa sila nag-aaral. So I think madali pumunta sa ibang bansa, mahirap lang maghanap ng resources para makapunta. But if you have that resources, so yan, makakapunta ka ng ibang bansa. Lalo
So
na
now,
anak ng presidente.
so parang status symbol, no? If a child of
Yes,
yours
yes.
from a university
Tama.
sa ibang bansa, yeah, it connotes something. But now it has changed a lot. Kasi kahit nasa Pilipinas ka, you can study through online.
And ngayon ay
Study.
marami ng mga nagsusponsor, maraming mga scholar na hindi sila mayaman pero nag-aaral sa ibang bansa.
True. That's true.
I was in there for 72 days
In your room?
in the room,
What were you doing inside the room?
driving myself crazy, basically. Well,
Nagka-COVID man
when
pala si
you're
Bongbong.
when you're ill,
COVID ba
you
yan?
don't really
Nagkasakit.
mind the
Nagkasakit.
passage of time. So
This,
that's
you're talking about the time when you got COVID.
yeah. When I got
Yun, COVID daw.
Nagka-COVID nga siya. Oo nga. Pag na-COVID ka nga, pag sa bahay, mas maganda sa room lang. Para yung ibang members ng family ay hindi nahawaan. Paano pag bahay mo ay walang room? Isa lang ang room mo.
Yung mga anak mo doon. Yung
O,
mga
di ba?
kasama mo doon.
That's really a reality. Yung sabi nila, you have to isolate yourself. Pag ikaw'y nagkasakit, home isolation, ang nangyayari, tumataas yung dami ng may COVID. Bakit? Pag ay na-isolate ka sa bahay, wala naman kasing kwarto na available eh. O, isang kunyari, kagaya sa atin, nagre-rent tayo. Ngayon, 2 rooms. Buti 2 rooms. Dati, isang room. O pag in-isolate mo, saan ka pupunta? No isolation. Eventually, what happened? Like in our case, nangyari, lahat kami na COVID na. Naging in chorus na ang COVID. So, for him, during that time, he stayed inside his room.
Okay.
Gusto niya yata. Parang is a homebody. Ano yung when
Sanay.
somebody likes staying in the room, anong yung binibigay na image? Anong image dyan? A homebody? Ano kaya?
Siguro,
Hindi lakwatsero? Ano kaya?
ano lang, simpleng tao. No? I don't know, but ganun ang pagkaka-describe ko, simpleng tao. Hindi yung iba kasi parang baka mag-hotel na yun or ayun, hindi lakwatsero, hindi magastos. Ano, parang gano'n, no? Hindi magastos.
Hmm.
Gusto sa comfort ng bahay.
Hmm.
Parang kanina yung sa pag-aaral niya ay mayroong nasa kwarto din. Kasakit nasa kwarto din. Sariling kwarto. Ibig sabihin ay kwarto pa lang ay enough to live comfort of everything. Bakit? Mayroong personal na siguro na mga nag-attend sa kanya.
Sa akin iba yung dating. When you say, for me kasi, for him they're trying to build an image. He's a simple person, a homebody, somebody who's satisfied in staying in the room himself. So that notes a kind of personality that is subtle, parang tame.
Yeah. Possibly, tama naman. Kasi kung titingnan ko itong mga bongbong yung mga Marcos ay medyo refined. Baka magiging
Kaidaran mo yata sila, no? Sir Chris, kaidaran mo ba?
Ang pinopromote natin. Pero ano lang, kumbaga, based on what we see and we observe, hindi naman tayo yung tao na nagre-research tungkol sa kanila or kung ano sila. Yung mga nakikita lang na, yes, ganun lang. About sa issues, parang wala naman mga issues. Talagang makakwarto lang talaga yun. Senator Bongbong Marcos.
Kasi gusto kong sundan, may mga comments kasi na they're building a good personality around him. Na mas maganda yung patay. For me, it's really simple. Anyone could do that. Tayong mga simpleng tao, may time talaga sa ating buhay in a day na we want to be alone in a secluded area in our room or our personal space. Yeah.
Okay.
Tingnan natin ang totality ng video.
COVID. So if you're not feeling bad, you don't really worry about it. I knew I was better because I was getting very bored and just think, when can I get out of here? When can I get out of here?
Do you have a morning routine po? Sir
Well,
Bongbong?
yeah.
Like what time do you usually wake up?
I'm usually up by 7, but after cleaning my teeth, I go straight to the computer and look messages and answer my mail and see what's happening, what I missed from the night before.
So hindi kayo nagbe-breakfast, Sir Bongbong?
I fast.
Is that the intermittent fast?
O, di ba? Karan, nag-intermittent fasting. Kasi wakes up at 7 and goes straight to work and he skips breakfast. For me, that's okay naman na din doon sa mga trying to lose weight like me. Diba? Na-try ko na din yan, lahat ng mga yan. Ang ultimate lang na maramdaman mo ay gutom. Gugutomin ka. But to carry to we always say, eat first. Make breakfast the
most
yung
special.
meal. Yes. Na dyan kakakain ng bongga. Make it the pinaka-colorful, pinaka-masarap, pinaka-healthy. Kaya for the parents, that's something really difficult to achieve. So, siguro, dahil may fasting, hindi naka-escape ang mga mothers.
So siguro
Careful.
nasanay na ganun yung practice. But huli yung tiyan natin ay nabakantiyan na yan ng for almost 12 hours 8 to 12 hours or 8 to 10 hours kasi kumain ka ng gabi and then buong gabi yun ay hindi kumakain. So morning sana reading na yan yung tiyan natin. But para sa kay Senator ay nagka-fast pa rin siya. So madadagdagan pa ng another 4 hours kasi kakain pa yun ng mga 10 or 12 or kung ano man basta that is his lifestyle. Maybe he's projecting something na work first before satisfying himself.
Or it could be that he's conveying, take your health into consideration.
Siniseryoso lang talaga yung health.
So that's his way to take care of himself. Yung pag-fast, skipping breakfast.
And the intermittent fasting. Yeah, it seems to work for me.
Intermittent.
Sometimes I forget that I fasted and haven't eaten. And I'll go and exercise.
What's your exercise po?
Gym. Because my schedule's so crazy.
O, di ba?
I can't do it
The
like...
gym in the house. Okay sila kasi may gym. Paano yung mga Pinoy na walang gym? Kaya exercise sa bahay.
Mahaba naman yung kalsada Takbo lang dun sa kalsada. Push up lang sa higaan. But they are really practicing they are really conscious with their health. Kita natin sa food, hindi pa naman sa food kasi nag-fast sa physical. Yan, pag-exercise sa katawan. Health conscious people.
like before. So that's what I do now. Just to have to stay fit, especially after COVID. It's my father's influence. My father was, before the term was invented, he was a health freak.
Now I see the transition. the father passing the good traits to the son. Ang galing talaga, no? So, I don't want to say what's in my mind, but I transition, the passing of something valuable traits from the father to the son. Let's see where this interview will go. Hindi ako, I'm not anti, I'm just into consider, we're just taking into consideration yung mga nakita natin na could be points na nakita din ng mga nag-critic, nagsulat ng mga negative comments. Positive.
And he would exercise at least an hour a day, sometimes twice a day.
So you would see him exercise when you were
He would
kids, regularly?
He would bring us to the gym. He said, "Come," when we were little.
Since you talked about your father, when you were born, he was already in politics.
Yes. He became congressman in 47, and then senator in 57.
That's the time you were born.
That's the year I was born. Yeah. Actually, I think he was always.
So he started, Marcos pala, 47, naging congressman.
46 ba yun? 46, 47, basta ganun.
47. So may edad na ng konti, ano? These days, merong mga politicians nasa isipan ko, hindi ko lang i-mention. Otherwise, parang pag sinabi ko pangalan. Babata, they're already in politics. And in fact, they have good record. Ang galing, ano?
Nasa dugo.
Na-identify ng maaga yung talento, the lead. And then that person is already leading. Whereas in the case of Ferdinand Marcos, he started at 47. What about Bongbong? Maybe earlier?
Anak na siya ng politician so well exposed. I don't know kung ilang taon nag-umpisa, but siguro nag-umpisa na itong nasa dugo
in politics, at least in.
Ito yung tinatawag na born politician.
Being a politician runs in the blood.
Kasi hindi, even though parang, I don't know kung nagiging politician din si yung mother. Pero kahit father lang yung nag-politician, pero umabot sa top office of the Philippines.
Sino?
So, hindi, si tatay. Si Melda nga, hindi ko alam kung nagiging politician din. Pero
naging politician eventually, di ba? She's sitting. Naging isa siya sa mga leaders.
Kung ano man, basta ganito. Yung I don't check their backgrounds or their lives or kung ano man ano. If your father is a president, lahat kayo, you don't need to be in the office. So, kumbaga, nasa na kayo? Ano tawag dyan? Yung first family. So, automatic.
Do you think it's a privilege? Is it a some children are born parents who are politicians? It's a privilege because when we look at mga anak ng politicians, ang swerte-swerte, swerte naman nila kasi they have this kind of life, so on and so forth. Merong mga ganong konsepto, merong ganong isipan. Is it really swerte?
Lalo na siguro sa mga provinces areas. Kasi parang pag politician ka sa medyo hindi crowded areas, parang napakataas ng pagtingin ng tao. Unlike here sa crowded areas, parang common people, common servant of the government. Pero siguro laking pribilehiyo or opportunity o ano man dyan ang tawag nila para sa ibang anak ng politicians. Sila ay yung pagkaka-describe nila ay hindi sila makagalaw ng maayos, so they cannot live a normal life the way other kids do, but I think ibang level to yung sa kanila eh. Ibang level. Kanina, siguro marinig din natin kung anong buhay ng bilang anak ng presidente.
Yeah, I think sa video, he shared a bit. Tony asked him about their life before.
Kasi nga,
In his mind. When I became governor of Ilocos Norte, I got to talk, since I was spending all my time there, I got to talk to some of his friends.
The resemblance is really strong. Pag tiningnan mo siya, parang si Marcos na siya na
parang medyo mataba. Parang tumaba, mas mataba yung picture, mas bata siya kaysa ito ngayon.
You were born.
That's the year I was born. Yeah.
Kung tingnan ko parang si
Actually, I think he was always in politics, at least in his mind. When I became governor of Ilocos Norte, I got to talk, since I was spending all my time.
ito.
Oo.
That's Bongbong Marcos already. Mataba pa siya.
Sorry sa mga diehard supporters ng mga Marcos. Pero nung unang pagkita ko ng picture, parang yung tawag doon, presidente ng North Korea. Parang may resemblance.
Salagot ka. Hindi, ang layo.
Pero nung sa ngayon, mas okay, mas healthy pag tiningnan yung medyo
Mas lean. Mas
Oo.
lean siya tingnan.
ah,
Hindi ko makita yung nakalagay. Ano yung nakalagay?
hindi governor na siya, governor.
Governor siya. Okay, let's continue.
Time there. I got to talk to some of his friends and the people who were around him when he was still living in Ilocos. And they said, 16 years old pa lang yan, may kabinete na yan.
Really?
Oo. Talagang my father is one of those, I suppose, the most single-minded person I've ever known. If it had nothing to do with his work, he just wouldn't spend time on it.
Saan po kayo pinanganak?
San Juan. No, pinanganak ako doon. So we lived in our house, which is still there, until 1965, when he won the presidency and we moved na to the palace.
He won his presidency in 1965. You were 7 years
Yeah,
old.
because I remember my first birthday in the palace was my 8th birthday.
What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing because my dad brought me to school. He woke me up. He came into my room. I was changing, going ready to go to school. And he said, "Come, it's your birthday."
I see the character building. I mean, they're building the personality. I mean, they're showing how the old Marcos was. Very caring for his son. Na nasa president, busy yan, but he took time in sending his son to school.
So,
So it's nice for this person to remember how it was, how it felt like.
real father.
Oo. It was the pag dito, I
Father.
don't know if I heard it right. Parang birthday niya, no? Birthday. Tapos, dinala siya ng father niya sa school that day. And he bought ice cream. The ice cream.
Libre daw ang mga
Oo.
classmates.
Dati, isipan ko, ano kayang kinakain ng mga yan? Gold. Kumakain din pala sila na
Selecta.
Selecta that time. Well, I think that's already, yung Selecta, that's social. Kasi back then, ang kinakain ng kagaya natin. How old is he, Bongbong Marcos? Kaidaran ba natin yan?
Mga, hindi, mga 50 plus.
Sorry, I mean, we have the dirty ice cream. Diba? You mentioned there na yung Selecta. Selecta sa kanya, merong dirty ice cream. Yung version na.
Pero tama yung pagkakasabi mo na imagine you're a president and then you're waking up your son and then you're kumbaga inahatid or tinatawagan or Na parang ano no, affectionate ba or malapit sa mga bata. Hindi
I
lang
think he he was sort of prioritized. For me take ko nun, he was prioritized over his responsibility as a president.
or
Bago-bago pa din.
preparing his son to
Mhm.
follow his footsteps also.
Mm. Mm.
Parang ganun siguro ano. So, dyan. Tama.
Yeah. Siguro, pag maging presidente, one of the characteristics na maganda sa presidente ay yung pagiging fatherly. I mean, yung pagiging loving as a father, responsible as a father. Maging tatay ka ng ano eh. I'm not referring to him that he will be president. I mean, I'm his father, how he was to him.
Kasi minsan may sinasabi din sila na pag hindi ka nga marunong magiging tatay sa iyong family, lalo nang hindi ka magiging marunong maging tatay ng buong bansa.
Gusto mo ba buong bansa ay tatay ka? Hindi mo nga kaya tatlong anak.
Hindi, oo nga, pag hindi mo kayang family mo lang, so mas mahirap i-handle na yun.
So there are really people who are designed for that kind of task. Sige, panoorin natin.
I'll bring you. So he brought me. And I cannot forget, and my classmates cannot forget, there were those two yung ice cream. Nagdebenta ng sorbetes, Magnolia, hindi, Selecta pa noon, hindi ba?
Yes.
So, dalawa sila. So my dad made it Pacquiao. He said, we paid them some money, and he said, lahat ng hihingi ng ice cream, libre at habong araw kasi birthday ng anak ko. So I was the most popular guy.
Anong school po kayo pumapasok
Lasal
nun?
Green Hills. In Ortigas, yeah.
So at 8 years old, you already lived in the palace.
Mm-mm.
What was that like, growing up in Malacanang, in the palace?
Well, in the early days, masaya.
Parang si Tony ang excited malaman. Nakikita mo yung kay babalik ko. How is it like to live in the palace? Tingnan mo yung mukha ni Tony.
So at 8 years old, you
You're the
already
next
lived in the palace.
Mm-mm.
What was that like, growing up in Malacanang, in the palace?
Well, in the early days, masaya kasi ang daming
Kaya, daming rooms, ang laki.
Ang daming pupuntahan.
Di ba? Sabi ko na excited si Tony eh. Pwede din. Parang may there's a future. Is there a future? Joke lang yan. Malay mo. Cannot tell what the future will be.
Pwede.
Okay. At daming rooms.
Senadora, hindi man pwede. Senadora to balang araw, hindi na. Pwede din.
Buti naman na i-describe niya, no? Yung maraming rooms doon. Makapunta nga doon, one of these, days. Masilip ang mga maraming rooms na iyon.
Pagpataw po si Bongbong Marcos na presidente.
Pupunta ka.
Pupunta tayo doon. Hingi tayo.
Hangyon.
Oo.
Try mo. Kahit ngayon, kahit president, baka pwede namang silipin. Anong gagawin mo?
Hindi, nakadaan ako doon sa may Minjula. Ano ba yan? Minjula ba yung area? Minjula pala eh.
Parang hindi tayo taga-Pilipinas, no? Natin alam yung Malacanang. Oo nga. Hindi pala tayo, iba pala tayo, probinsya.
Hindi pala madali na parang padaan-daan ka lang doon or para tambay-tambay ka doon. Parang back portion. Kasi yung Malacanang parang nasa may river ka pa na i-cross bago ka makapunta na. Anyway,
Sige lang.
explore natin yan.
Okay, let's continue with the interview. Tingnan natin. Kasi may mga laman, may mga tanong si Tony na they said it's leading question. But so far, the way I see it, Bongbong Marcos has this personality which is subtle, very pleasant,
Mhm. Cool.
calm, cool. Choose the socks.
Pero
Tapos
may ano naman siya eh. May
the
presidential
pillows.
demeanor naman eh.
Tama. Yan daw tinitingnan nila eh. Oh. Dala yata yan yung paano ka mag-cross ng leg. Yun ba yun? Yung
Parang
gesture.
maka-Duterte din eh.
Ewan ko sa inyo dyan.
Nagko-cross din si Duterte.
Iba
Sige.
naman din yun. Meron yung sa kamay. Ano yung
Okay. Okay.
may something yung ginagawa sa kamay na
Oh,
parang trade.
ano ba yan?
Yes.
Yeah,
Attack.
sige. Yan na natin.
Sige. Napalayo na tayo. Okay, let's
Ang
continue.
dami mong, you go down to the kitchen, you mess around with the cooks, and then you go to the CQ, you mess around with them, you play with them, you go to the park. So there's many places to go.
Anong favorite place niyo nun sa Malacanang?
I used to end up hanging out with the CQ all the time.
Actually, they're trying to give the audience the idea na Malacanang is a fun place. For me, when I look at Malacanang or a building, yung mga, like, let's say, yung mga tinitirahan ng presidente, White House, kunyari, I think of parang nakakatakot na place. Parang it's too big to live. Para siyang in the halls. Pag ikaw you're walking sa hallways, baka yung parang may feeling na, ano ba to? It's too big for a house to call a home. So they're trying to build the idea. He's describing how fun Malacanang is, how friendly the
Yes,
person
yes,
is.
yes.
Mga Pinoy naman talaga, very friendly.
So, in Malacanang, it's not a palace for parang nakakatakot. It's not a palace na something exclusive. Kasi parang pwede ka pala yata doon. Pero palagi siya, mahilig siya doon sa mga security yata. Friendly yata mga security doon, ano?
Try mo these days, puntahan mo at sa akin. Okay, so it means na yung relationship nila towards the workers, the people surrounding them, ay maganda. Maayos. Okay, that's nice.
Yes.
I guess with the guys, you know.
Yeah.
The palace was so interesting. But as the time went on, the private part of the palace became smaller and smaller, and the office part of the palace became bigger and bigger. There was at one time that I came out in my pajamas, and my father was approaching with a state visitor. So I said, okay, that's not happening again. You do not leave your room until you're
Fully dressed.
completely, you're ready to.
Ang hirap nun, hindi ka aalis sa room mo na hindi ka fully dressed. Pag hindi ka sanay nun. Oh well, siguro yung mga rooms naman nila, may CR sa loob, may banyo.
Yes,
You
yes.
prepare before going out. So with this experience, nakapajama siya, merong VIP na dumating. So hindi niya makalimutan yung ganyang experience.
To see people.
How was your relationship with your father?
With my
nung
dad?
time na yun? Was he a disciplinarian? Was he strict with
Yeah, he
you?
was. His only thing was study hard. Yun lang talaga. Basta't work hard, study hard. That was his main thing. As long as
Study hard daw. The relationship was pleasant. It was nice. And then, according to him, gusto na ng father niya to study hard. Why is it really essential na mag-aral? At ang tanong dyan, yung pag-aaral ba'y nakukuha lang sa classroom? Kailangan ba palaging may nagsasalita na teacher? O kagaya ngayon, modular. Ibig sabihin ba yun ng mga batang nagmo-modular hindi natututo? Ano kaya?
Mag-aaral lang daw ng todo eh. So,
Mm.
kahit saan ka siguro, pwede kang mag-aaral ng todo. Or, nagpapakita din, I don't know bakit pinasok yun, na yung father niya ay keep insisting him to study hard.
Mm.
So, his father maybe really, loves education or
Mm.
nagpo-promote talaga ng tinatawag na edukasyon.
Mm. Tsaka sa mga nakakaalam sa kanya, he was magaling eh. He was a very good
Okay.
brilliant. He's
Tama,
brilliant.
tama.
So another trait he's passing is yung pagiging matalino. Pinasa from father to son again.
So, sa mga matatanda pala, yung mga matatanda, mga father, lolo, maraming nagsasabi na matalino talaga daw si Marcos.
Mm.
Si Ferdinand Marcos, tatay. Posible, minamana din niya ng mga anak.
Mm.
Namamana.
Siyempre, kasi yan eh, kung pareho kayo kinakain, so eventually, pareho din yung kalabasan niya. I'm so white. Tapos ikaw dyan. Separate room, saradong room.
I-off ko kayang ilaw dito.
Ayan muna, let's continue. Let's continue. Wait muna. Tapusin muna natin.
Okay, sige.
Let's continue.
You're studying hard, you're okay with him.
You got a lot of his traits. Kasi nga, di ba, you grew up watching him sa stage, giving speeches. So, marami sa mannerisms niya. Even yung size niya, nakuha niyo.
Yeah,
Yung
ang
waist.
katawan namin is remarkably similar. From shoe size to waist, everything. That's why I was one of the lucky ones that when binibigyan siya ng regalo, I would raid his closet. My mannerisms, especially speaking, is very much my dad's. But syempre, from the time I was very small, we were already there in the back watching him make speeches. And he would teach a little bit about modulation and everything, but voice modulation and things like that. But mostly, what he would insist upon when we started having to speak was that learn it, don't read. The thing that's also that everybody says is my voice.
Trademark niya the father did speeches or yung pag nag-speech siya, wala siyang kopya na hawak. So, pinag-aaralan, he passed that sa anak. Na pag nag-speech daw, kailangan pag-aralan, hindi pwedeng basahin. Pwede naman. Fluent kasi siya sa English eh. So, madali. Ano sa tingin mo?
Maraming mga characteristics ng ating President Ferdinand Marcos na according to his son, Senator Bongbong Marcos, na minana niya o nakopya niya or nasa kanya. Which is, mga okay naman yung mga traits na yon. So, yung mga kagalingan, baka nandyan din yan. So, ganun yan.
Continue.
Is that we have the same voice.
Di ba po when
Same
your dad
voice
was
pa nga
president, sinasama niya kayo sa lahat ng kanyang mga visits in different parts of the world, and you have met some of the most powerful and influential people. You have
Magko-comment tayo sa pang 10 minute na area. Kasi nasa 6 lang tayo. And
Nasa,
it's 28. 6. Siya tayong excited sa mga komento natin. Pakinggan muna natin yung kabuuan. Nasa 10-minute na part. Sige.
Even met the
Okay
royal
natin.
family.
Yes, yes, yes. Some of the funnest parts would be my mom would call and says, I'm going to meet Generalissimo Franco in Spain. You want to come? Of course. Get out of school, number one. Di ba? And I would go, I'm going to see the Pope. Sama ka, sama kami. I think it was a conscious effort of my parents to expose us because even the travel, like they would go to the provinces or they would go to especially yung mga bagyo, yung mga ganon. Sinasama lagi kami. We were always there. So I think it was my parents that they really wanted us to see everything.
Sino po yung na-meet nyo that made a huge impact in your life na hindi nyo makakalimutan?
Madami masyado. I've met most of the popes. I've met most of the secretary generals of the UN. In fact, I've met them all since youthant. Si Indira Gandhi was one who really impressed me, and Maggie Thatcher.
What do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learned from your father?
Oh my, I learned so much from him. It's hard to. When it comes to work, marami siyang, like things like when you walk into a room, the guy, if you're walking to a negotiation, whoever knows more wins. So I've always held that. Always work hard. Hard work is always rewarded. Things like that. He was not the type to sit you down and say, ano mo, anak, ang ganito, ganyan. Hindi, basta say, ito yung gagawin natin. He would be with his cabinet members, and they would be talking about something pretty important. And he would suddenly turn to me, what do you think? Like,
Ilan taong kayo?
I was 16, 17. He was already turning to me and said, what do you think? But when he asks you a question, it's not because he wants to know the answer. He wants to know if you know the answer. He's testing you. Kasi inaaral na niya yan, alam na niya yan. So come prepared.
From your mother naman po.
From my mother, well, of course, it's the certain things. My love of music, of the arts, because our house always had music playing. She was the one who used to take us to the theater, take us to museums. It really was her point of joy. Really was the arts. It wasn't normal. You didn't have there wasn't such a thing as a normal day. Every day was different. What formed the way I do things is how my father or my mother would react. It's having watched both of them handling the problems that they were confronted with on a daily basis. I think that's what really made my own personality when it came to such things. I would say that the many...
May call. Hello po.
Hello.
Sino ni?
Silvira, di ka ba?
Ay, sige, dali lang. Elsa, hatag ko kay Apple. Ako nag-video sa dali lang. Paul? Paul? Yate, si mama niya.
okay.
incidents that I watched them handle really taught me how to approach problems, how to take the challenges that inevitably come up.
Speaking of yung handling life situations and problems when people were marching towards EDSA, how did your father handle that situation?
My father called me and he said, we have intelligence.
Kasi parang ibang story na yan eh. Nag-EDSA na. Pero balik-balikan natin yung mga ibang buhay. Na-mention kanina ni Bongbong Marcos na his family or his father really, preparing him for something. There's a conscious effort, sabi nila ng community. Conscious effort. So talagang, he is recognizing himself as a well-trained, prepared for something. Experience, prepared for something.
Nahanda na siya.
Ine-expose
ready.
siya sa foreign, ine-expose din siya sa mga calamities locally
Mhm.
or sa mga different
Mm.
places here. And minsan tinatanong pa, even though the questions are for the cabinets or for the secretaries, tinatanong pa siya ng father niya just to explore kung open mind, i-open yung kanyang pag-iisip. So, he is really well aware na parang prepared siya or may idea siya kung ano ang dapat, anong mangyayari. Ano? Okay din siguro, no? Sige.
So I think that was his father's way of educating him.
Yeah.
Because I think in this interview also, he revealed na ay magpapaalam siya sa school kasi maalis sila papuntang ibang bansa.
Mhm.
Missed several days from school work or classes because he would be with his father. That's why a while ago, tinanong kita, does his education really sa classroom na nangyayari? But because for him, for his case, anak ng presidente, yung kanyang
Bata.
way is, yes, bata pa siya, na-educate na siya, not necessarily using the books or the lectures or the teacher, through experience. Kasi dinadala siya ng ama. Nakikita yung paano mag-handle ng tao, paano mag-handle ng
Yes.
mga bisita, how to behave in certain situations, so on and so forth.
Talagang sanay pala ito na makasama sa presidente.
Ibig sabihin, naging successful silang maipakita yung handa na siya.
Pero nakikita mo yung mga pictures na pinag-flash nila. They're always family. So makapamilya din pala ito. Sige. Tingnan natin.
Which I think is good, which is right, correct. Kasi who would want to function with your away from you, na separate sila.
Yeah.
So it's the risk and it is what you get from serving the country as a president. Dala-dala mo yung pamilya mo. Siyempre, anak mo may mga sacrifices na gagawin. They cannot live the life of other kagaya na libre lahat ng oras. So they have something. They have to follow protocol. First family. So it was entirely different. Let's see the rest of the video of the interview.
Okay. Parang biglang nagbago ang eksena dito. Mayroong EDSA
Marshalo na.
Sige.
Medyo EDSA na. What was his question? Bakit na ipasok yung... balikan natin ng konti. Here.
Handling life situations and problems when people were marching towards EDSA.
How did your father handle that situation?
My father called me and he said, we have intelligence that this is about these people are moving, this is what they're going to do. I'm assigning you to work with the security to handle the defense of the palace. So that's from that day on, that's all I was doing. From that point, that Wednesday afternoon, naka-uniforme na ako because I just come out of the military also at that time. Kaya ako linagay, sabi niya, ikaw ang in charge sa defense ng palasyo.
How was your father nung time po na yun?
So he reverted back to his commander mode, wartime commander mode. Again, very calm, very measured.
Wartime commander mode. So from a father figure na tender, gentle, hindi sila iniiwanan, hila-hila sila kahit saan mapunta, kahit anong country. Now, here's the disaster. May dumating na problema. Not just maliit, it's a big problem that time. No? So as president, he shifted from this gentle father into a commander.
Wow. So nakikita niya yung a different personality, or how his father could adjust.
Mm.
Okay. So if this is the situation, you could be like this. If this is the situation, you could be like this. So there's a diplomacy with his ways.
Mm. Okay.
So, nung nangyayari po yung rally sa EDSA, ano yung sinabi niya sa inyo?
I remember saying, yung kalaban, sabi, ginigera na tayo. And he answered me. He said, I have spent my whole life defending Filipinos. I cannot hurt them now.
Wow.
That was it. Baba. Put
What's
Yan.
with that statement? I've
I
spent
spent my whole
many
life
years
defending
My whole life.
Filipinos.
Filipinos.
I
I
cannot
cannot
hurt
hurt them now.
So ano yan?
Issue. Was there an issue? Why did he say he cannot hurt them now? Where,
Yes.
what was the situation like? Sige nga, ikwento mo nga sa akin na mga millennials. Kasi hindi namin, kunyari. What,
Ano ba
what
yan?
exactly happened that time? Were the Filipinos, did they become hard-headed? That time they needed, sorry for the word wow, what was it like at that certain moment?
Yeah, yung sabi ng tatay niya, the enemies are forming, or they are about to attack
Attacking?
us, or they are preparing for something not good for the ano, president family, or the first
Mm.
family. So ano yung sabi, inassign sa doon sa security. Eh, ano din pala siya tapos na kakatapos lang sa pag-serve sa military. And then,
Mm.
ganun ano. So, nakita ng father niya na hakiin, or ano ba, sasaktan na, or there's a rebellion, ano ba tawag dyan?
Rebellion.
Rebellion.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
the statement of his father is very simple, I spend my whole life defending or protecting, or siguro gawa ng mabuti. That is how I translate his words.
Mm.
Pero when these people were about to attack them, his statement is, no, I cannot attack them also because I give my life for them. So, anong ginawa kaya nila? Nag-retreat na lang?
Mm. Tingnan natin.
your guns down. Say, we're not shooting anyone.
Akyatan yung mga tao sa gate.
Ako si susumpa.
Were you scared nung time na yun?
No, I wasn't. I can't say as I was. Because militarily, we had an advantage. It's just he chose not to fight. And then they took us to Clark. When we got to Clark, dinisarmahan kami. Lilipad na kami sa Guam.
Yung version ng yung mga iba. For him, they choose not to fight. For some comments na nabasa ko, they say it was because of him that a lot of people at the time were killed. It was him who killed those people. Which version is believable? What exactly happened? Mahirap pala maging presidente kasi kahit hindi ikaw although it's not you who really did the killing or the disgrasya dahil may rebellion na. Nababalik sa presidente yung blame. Eventually, people will think it was because of you, because of your plan, because of the situation where you approved that situation, or you let the situation happened as a president. So a lot of people died or were killed. I think it's a part ng family. If they're bitter, they're sad, they make negative comments about it. I think it's maintindihan mo because it's the life of their family member. O ano. So talagang pag may sasabihin ka ng negative, I think it can be understood. I mean, it can be, yeah, pwedeng tanggapin yung ganyang ano, emotion yun. But is it really true? Yeah, is it really true that he ordered for those people to be killed, or he ordered his army to his men to do something?
I think diyan napapasok yung mga historians, yung mga writers, yung mga ibang experience, naka-record or eyewitnesses. Tayo ay medyo tayo ay dependent tayo kung anong mga naririnig na natin, kung anong mga
Sa sunod interview natin yung mga olds natin. Di ba? Yung mga old people from just across the street na buhay ng time na yun. It would be nice to listen to their story, their side of the story, na hindi sila malapit dun sa, they're not from that area where it exactly happened. Sila sa labas. Let's say Cavite area, how was it like that time? Di ba?
Yes. So, parang it's a real struggle, but para sa kanya, hindi naman daw sila natatakot. Hindi siya nakaramdam ng takot during that time. Right? Because nakikita niya military ay nasa kanila. So, kumbaga, ang armed forces nasa kanila. And who are these people? Kumbaga, if they are really meant to use force, no? Kung gagamitan talaga nila ng puwersa, so, kumbaga, yan. But, maybe they don't, parang sinasuggest niya, they don't really have the intention to use force or to hurt these people. But we don't know exactly the story. So that is a version and then another version.
That's what he was trying to convey, a message that his father was not into killing. It was
Yes.
not his father's idea into killing. When in fact, his father's idea was to, what's that? Para mahinto na. I am not nahinto. I mean, to avoid. Avoid certain situations na hindi maganda. Okay, can we watch?
Yes.
Which is what happened.
How was your father when you were in Guam?
He was ill. He wasn't well. He wasn't sleeping. But again, he was still his old self. He was in that mode. He was in commander mode.
Was there ever a time that he showed his vulnerability to you?
He's a professional, so basta kung anong kailangan gawin natin. He didn't shirk away from any kind of challenge. Basta kung ano hinaharap niya talaga. Basta the opposite of vulnerable.
Solution-based.
Oh, absolutely. Mission-oriented ang tawag sa military. Mission-oriented.
How was your last moments with your father?
Before he passed away.
They called us. I was in San Francisco, and the doctors started calling, and actually my sister said, "You better come back." So I rushed, took the first plane back to Hawaii, and that's it. And he had a kind of a seizure. His heart failed. And we were just watching him, trying to revive him. But he didn't make it. And I remember I was hugging Irene, and we were looking, because we were asked to leave the room while the doctors attended to him. So we were watching him through the window.
What was his last words with you na tumatak sa inyo talaga before he passed away?
I remember just before he died, he opened his eyes and he just looked at me. And you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, di ba? Iniwan. Before he died, his father looked at him. Tony was asking, what was his last word to you? Wala palang salita kasi they were looking for class. I mean, may klase na sa labas sila. While they were trying to revive his father. So, walang salita na sinabi. Kung di
Kaya,
mga
hindi, baka
tingin.
hindi ba
Tingin.
kaya ibig sabihin nun ay, anak, ikaw magpipresidente ka balang araw.
Lamang yun na yun. Depende kung paano niya i-take. Kung nabasa niyo yung isipan ng father niya, most probably, that was one of the messages to say. Or maybe, sana take care of our family. Take care of your sisters and your mom.
Possibly, ano?
Or,
Pero
or it could be avenge our name.
nasa commander mode pa daw siya.
Oo. O yung pangalan natin, linisin mo or ano. May ganun kaya. Kailangan linisin.
He has no words eh. He has no words. So, his father's eyes, napakaraming messages yata doon na iniwan sa kay Bongbong. Bigyan kaya natin ng pagkakataon to si Bongbong. Malaman kung anong iniwan sa
Parang dyan yung punta. O baka ikampanya mo na, baka sakaling wala tayong pandasal.
Nakakatakot pala ito. Sige, ano kaya?
Ang hirap pala pag
Okay sana kung nakapagsalita.
misinterpret ka,
Kung nakapagsalita, at least
Ma-misinterpret.
yan lang.
Talagang pag ikaw pala ay you interview somebody, kahit ang ibig mo sabihin or what you are really trying to do is just interview for the sake of, for me, he was just trying to reminisce the time when his father was alive. How was that like to be a son of the president, his childhood with him, his days when he was young, how he was like a father. And then it transitioned to the time of yung, EDSA, may revolution na time. How was it like? So it was like a commemoration, reminiscing the past. Yeah. So for some people, it looked like he was trying to pave the way to something. Well, it's not bad naman, di ba? Obvious ka na. Parang obvious ka na. He's gonna say something. He sounded like Ilonggo here. I don't know which part is it. I caught that line. He said something that sounded like he was talking. He was sounding like speaking in Ilonggo. Intonation lang.
He just looked at me and he closed his eyes again and all the alarms went off. All the machines started beeping and then all the nurses came in, all the doctors came in. We were hustled out of the room. And that was it. So there were no last words, but
There was that last look.
there was that last look that I will never forget. And God, look what you're doing. People will think I'm a crybaby.
It meant the world, that last look.
It's a very, very sad memory. And sad and happy at the same time because at least meron siyang last na connection with me, with us. I could see he looked, he really looked. And he knew who I was, and he knew that perhaps he was going.
Parang
So,
that look was a farewell.
parang ganon.
A lot of people were saying that your father, Ferdinand Marcos, was the best president the Philippines has ever had. And to some people, he was the worst president the
Sure.
Philippines has ever had. But if I were to ask you, what's the best and worst thing about him?
The best thing about him, as a leader, as a president, he was an actual leader. I think the problem now we have is that we lack leadership. You cannot be president following surveys, which is a tendency that we have not only here but in other countries as well. Meron siyang vision talaga. I want the Philippines to be this place in 10 years. I will make the Philippines this good by that year. Meron siyang vision. Ano yung galing ng Pinoy? Yun, dun tayo.
So he had a clear vision. He late President Marcos had a clear vision of what he will do, what Philippines will be like in the coming time. Anong nangyari? I'm really curious kung hindi siya nakaalis, na-realize kaya yung mga visions niya na yun. At this moment, nasan kaya ang Pilipinas?
Yan, tama.
Malalim na tanong yan.
May naalala ako na ano ba yun? Basta yung book yata yun na parang 20 years ago, nagsasabi siya na dito sa Asia, walang ibang may train dito maliban lang sa Singapore at saka sa Philippines. Pero ngayon, sila halos lang. Napakarami ng linya ng train. Tayo, dalawa. MRT, LRT. But anyway.
Ibig sabihin, kung hindi naudlot yung mga plans niya, Philippines would be something different these days.
Kasi yun nga dapat daw yung leader Sabi niya, mayroong vision na klaro at hindi lang sumasabay sa survey. Kasi minsan yung survey ay deceptive
I heard from other countries, yung presidente nila, they stay longer. I mean, sa atin, it's 3 years time, di ba? 3 years. And then after that?
3 terms, 3 term. After 6 years.
6 years, 2 terms.
1 term lang. Yun na yata ang bago
Okay. I am not really familiar.
Oo nga re-reviewin natin.
Yeah.
Hindi rin ako sigurado 4 years na. Hindi ako sigurado.
Pero, ang iniisip ko kasi ay ganito. Kung ang presidente, he is allowed to stay longer in the office para mas magawa kaya ang plano. Mas makikita yung result ng kanyang
maganda rin yung ganon. Kaso lang nakakatakot naman para sa mga maraming mga Filipinos kasi mas mahaba daw yung panahon na magkukurakot.
Kasi walang kurakot.
Hindi. Kasi nag-uumpisa tayo sa kurakot. Ganito kasi yun Pag sinabi na politicians, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin hindi kurakot. Parang ganun agad yung isipan natin Pag nakaupo, ibig sabihin, namumuha yan. Oo, namumuha. So ibig sabihin, huwag mo na siyang bigyan ng mahabang panahon. Kukunti-kunti lang. Mali kasi yung initial natin na thinking Dapat pag sinabi na leader, wala sa isipan ng mga followers na yan ay masama. Kasi kung iniisip ng mga followers na yan ay nakakabuti, ibig sabihin, gusto pa nilang hahabaan yan ng panahon. Di ba? So, baliktad kasi yung nasa isipan na natin that is why, kahit sinong leaders dyan yung umuupo, magulo pa rin yung Pilipinas Sabagay, hindi lang naman Pilipinas, buong ibang bansa, ganun din.
So, sino ang problema? Hindi ang leader? Sabi mo, kahit gaano kagaling ang leader, ang hirap ng Pilipinas dahil may mentality tayong, may nabuo na tayo, may preconceived na buo na isipan, parang kultura sa mga Pinoy na ganito. So who's to blame? Sino dapat magbago? Is it the leader or the people? What do you think?
Tayo kasi, sabi dito, we are governed by the people. The people choose someone to govern themselves. So, yung mga tao, pipili ng leader nila na mangunguna sa kanila. Parang parang ang gulo isipin
Yeah, let me just
you give them power to govern. Sige daw.
Yeah, and it has become obvious pag minsan pag nagsasalita publicly minsan what they do is they're getting the attention of the people. Parang instead of focusing on the task, they are focusing into knowing, understanding, or pleasing the audience ba? On serving. Pasaway ba talaga ang Pinoy? Ano?
So iba talaga ang mentality ano
Mm.
sa whole kultura.
Mm.
Iba na yata ang kultura, iba yung general ano tawag.
Baka may mutation na lang nangyari.
May
The mindset, the kind of mindset has mutated into something different.
tama. So
So dapat ibang estilo, ibang style naman ng leadership ang makikita.
tama.
Baka pag si Bongbong Marcos, style ng father, ano kaya? Nakakatakot? Will that be something scary? Ako, I'm not really familiar with the Marcoses. I did not do an in-depth research. Pero he is following the footsteps of his father. Yes, he's carrying the legacy, the kind of attitude, the training that his father passed to him. Even the vision, most probably, he has it with him. So could you, if in case he runs, could you say, siya ang tama? Ano kaya?
siya ang tama kung wala nang ibang pagpipilian. Pero kung may ibang pagpipilian, so we have to evaluate muna natin. Ganun lang naman tayo eh. Pero kung sa initial titingnan natin, if we'll just kumbaga hindi lang tayo magbabase sa kung anong mga kasalanan ng magulang. But actually, even though we rely on history, sometimes yung history ay nakaka-confuse naman eh. Tama ba?
And then they say also, you cannot read the correct history from the books. It's the point of view of the writer that you are reading. Kasi what they say, for you to understand what happened, you have to do your own research by talking to people who were there na naka-experience. Kahit pa interviewin mo yung mga taong naka-experience noon, iba pa rin yung point of view ng, kunyari, sa side ng mga Marcoses or sa side naman ng yung mga opposition, iba din. What do you think? Why did it happen? Bakit humantong sa ganon? Is it a clash of
clans?
Personality? Ano kaya? Is it because they had different personalities, different ideologies? Ano kaya?
Possibly din. But yan, kung ano man yung kagulo na yan, it is just half of the story. Tsaka, paano natin sabihin ito or mapag-usapan ito? Para sa marami ding mga tao na tumitingala sa mga Marcoses, nagsasabi na okay, tama sila. Marami ding nagsasabi na talaga sila yung dahilan ng problema ng Pilipinas ngayon. We don't know exactly sa ating kapanahonan ngayon. Kumbaga, hindi ako makakonclude na ganito talaga ngayon. Or sila yung dapat sisihin. Or mayroong ibang dapat sisihin. Because kahit saan ka, magulo naman eh. Problema eh. Kahit saan ka, may corruption naman eh. Pero kung tingnan na natin yung actual, and then tatakbo si Bongbong Marcos na president, siguro okay lang naman. Unless mayroong tatakbo na mas better kaysa kanya. So, kasi parang
sino
ganun
talaga?
pinakaputan eh.
Bakit para sa'yo, sino ang maganda?
Sino
Pag
pa
ikaw,
bang
personal opinion mo,
magandang tatakbo?
magandang maging presidente o tatakbo na presidente?
Sino pa bang tatakbo ngayon? Wala pa naman yatang
Wala pang
nasa,
clear eh.
wala
Yeah,
pang,
there's no clear. Kasi ano, yung daughter ng president, is she running?
Duterte. Si Sara Duterte.
Yeah.
Ano na
Is
lang
she?
siya kaya, i-vice na lang siya ni Bongbong. At least sila ay medyo nasa henerasyon ng mga young. Pag si
Energetic.
pag si President Duterte ngayon ay ano na yan, nasa yung kapanahonan niya ay pang-advisors na lang yan siguro, yung mga role na ganon.
Mm.
Di ba ba?
Mm. Pero nakita ko yung yung parang tandem sila ni Senyor Bongo.
Bongo, okay. Bongo is malinis pa yung papel. Hindi natin masyadong nakilala but performance, I think wala namang wala namang mansa doon sa mga performance niya ngayon since umupo sa senador. But kung titingnan natin, kung evaluate natin, I'm not promoting wala pa naman, siguro mag-suggest ka ng ibang pangalan pa na titingnan natin. Titimbangin natin.
Si Vice President Lenny Robredo, what do you think?
Pamilya din siya ng mga pamilya din siya ng mga politicians, so well experienced naman siguro. At may mga backgrounds naman, may mga connections. Pero kung titingnan natin yung connections ng mga Marcoses nito ay yung mga yung mga nakaugat na ng malalim. Yung mga connections yan. So I think sa galing, sa ideas, gano'n lang naman yung importante siguro connections, if you want to lead the country. Resources. But by the way, parang nabago na yung pinag-usapan natin, nakalimutan natin. Yung review na.
It's okay. Kasi
It's
we're
part of
talking
that.
politics eh. Politics kasi Bongbong Marcos is in politics eh. We cannot deny the fact na this interview has somehow it has opened the idea that one of these days, most probably, there's a possibility that he will open up na tatakbo siya. So at least as of this time, we can see who those people are na pwede pagpilian. Pero it's a nice tandem, Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte. Okay. Miss Sarah. For me, Sarah is a leader material. No. Leader material. I mean, she exudes the one. She exudes of being a leader. Although babae. Hindi naman, although mali yung sasabihin, although babae. Okay ang training. And then the personality. So kung tandem sila, perfect match. Kasi itong si Bongbong Marcos, medyo yung personality subtle. Kasi ito namang isa, ang personality niya strong. It's just a matter of sino ang maging mag-run for president. This girl, the woman, or the other one?
Kung narinig mo kanina si Bongbong Marcos, yung father niya marunong commander mode. So if he knows that mga options na yon, siguro baka mayroon din siya mga options na ganon. So pag tiningnan mo lang ngayon, parang mga subtle move or very, what can I say, refined. Ganon kasi yung mga yung mga maharlika, maharlika, yung mga royal family, sa mga European or Western countries. They are very refined, well trained in terms of their so pwede.
Okay. I forwarded dito na part. Let's hear the rest of the interview. 8 minutes left.
Here.
As long as I'm functioning, I consider myself to be in public service. I hew close to my father's idea that it seems we were put on this earth to serve, and so that's what I'll do. If that is my purpose in life and that's what God wants for me to do, then that's what I will continue to do hanggat I'm functioning. It's never finished kasi. It's never finished. There's always one other thing that you can do. There's always a little bit more that you can do.
So if it's not yet finished, what is it po that you want to continue doing?
Helping, just make the Philippines better. Well, right now, to be specific, is we're in the middle of this crisis. We have to improve our vaccination rollout para talagang, because it seems to be the only solution. In the very beginning of the pandemic, I was trying to find a way that you could balance opening the economy and staying safe. With the vaccines coming, what really needs to be done now is to have a plan for the re-emerging Philippine economy. What do we do? Paano natin bubuhayin ulit yung mga nalugi?
In the eyes of public, you have lived a privileged life. And parang iniisip nila, you seem to have everything. If there's one thing that you think that you don't have, ano po yun?
I agree with that public perception. Well, in the earlier part of my life, the privileges we enjoyed, we grew up in comfort. We had never needed for anything. What is it that's kulang pa in my...
You think that you don't have because you seem to have everything.
I'm jealous of you. I wanted to be a musician.
Sabi nga po ng anak nyo, if you weren't in politics,
Oo.
rockstar nga daw po kayo.
Ay, yun. Dalawa lang ang ambisyon ko nung maliit. When I was about 12 years old, maging rockstar, maging astronaut.
Sino idol yung rockstar nun?
Stones, Mick Jagger, well, the Beatles, all of them. The Who. I became friends with all of them eventually.
Really?
Nakilala ko silang lahat. Siyempre, nakatunga all this,
If you were to introduce the name Marcos to the new generation, how would you introduce yourself to them?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm the son of the longest-lasting president who brought the Philippines into the modern world, really, and we became who brought to the Philippines a sense of nationhood. I've been asked many times, what's the most important part of your father's legacy? I'd say the most important part is that sense of nationhood. When we were proud to be Filipino, when we would go out abroad and say, Filipino kami. I think that was the first thing. And not a small part of that was OPM, was the original Pinoy music. Because it's the culture. You learn about, this is what it means to be a Pinoy. This is what it means to be Filipino. And that happened.
He has the pride. He's very proud of being a Filipino.
So, dapat daw magkaroon ng sense of nationhood.
Ito yata yung pamilya.
This is family.
Mga anak.
1, 2.
Ay na pala,
Puro lalaki pala lahat.
Tatlong boys.
Tatlong lalaki. So dagdag yan, tatlong Marcos.
Maging politician din kaya ang mga yan.
Yan ang mga tanong. Pero sa pagsasalita ni Bongbong Marcos, I don't know, parang it's really in their nature na mag-politician or to serve the people. Ganun yung punto niya. I don't know kung, sometimes politicians, they have the memorized script to help the people. But kung titingnan natin yung pananalita niya, parang minsan nadadala talaga ako eh.
Obvious ka na. Obvious ka na. Mag-ano ka, tag dito. Mag-apply ka campaign manager. Sa barangay lang.
But
Nadala ka yata sa ano, sa tag dito. Sa kanyang nakapink eh.
Okay. Pero naalala ko yung mga matatanda kasi noon,
Mm.
uh, kahit nag-eleksyon, nanalo pa rin itong mga Marcos.
Mm.
Kaso lang, may mga accusations naman na nandaraya or gano'n. So, we don't know exactly, we don't understand exactly what's happening sa ating paligid. Ganun lang naman yun eh. Kung matalo ka, dinaya ka. Minsan ganun. Kung natalo yung kalaban mo, sabihin mo naman na deserve niya naman kasi talaga. Hindi natin alam.
Yeah, that's true. Pero may isa akong tao na nasa isipan kung nanalo sana ang presidente yun. That would have been good president.
Sino ba yan? Babae.
Oh, yung babae na
Si-
nakapila.
Si Miriam.
Oo. Yeah. Yeah. I remember before na bata pa kami. I think we did the jingle. Because my parents are there is a diehard follower ni Miriam.
Gawa kayo ng jingle
nagkatagatan
para
din
doon.
yun. Gumawa sila ng jingle sa barangay election. Tapos kami ang umawit. Yeah. So, yun sana kung naging presidente yun, that would have been, I think. Sayang
Pero,
Itong isa, pag nanalo to, pag nagtakbo to at nanalo, I think it would be a dream come true for those Marcos loyalists. Kasi he would be like the realization, is the continuation of the late President Marcos. Parang siya ang continue ng legacy.
yung problema lang ngayon, kung tingnan, maraming mga tao na yung pagtingin nila sa mga anak ni Ferdinand Marcos, parang si Ferdinand Marcos din. So, yung tanong mo kanina, what's really the problem? Or where is really the problem? Sa leaders or sa society? Kadalasan bumabalik sa society yung problema eh. Yung mahirap tanggapin na manalo yung kalaban mo. Parang ganun.
So I think handa na siya, no? Saan ka na? Wala ka na. So in totality, end na yan. Wala naman na part na yan. In totality, for me, this interview is, I think it's opening the way for a possibility soon. Wala na, and then there's nothing wrong with it naman, di ba? So dun sa mga nagsasabing, Tony and him just for the sake of, I think wala nang problema pag ano. What do you think?
Wala. Kasi una-una si Tony ay vlogger yan eh. So,
he has the rights kung sino ang interviewin niya.
yes. Oo.
Question, tanong.
Pero may nabasa ako na dapat kung vlogger ka or isa kang journalist, dapat maging responsable ka.
I don't think he was, I don't think na responsable siya.
Nagiging irresponsible.
Responsable naman din yung mga, I mean, imagine a vlog that ayaw mong i-interview yung isang tao just because magmumukha kang ini-endorso sa isa election. Parang hindi naman doon. Kasi yun naman yung vlog, sa kanya naman yun. And she has the right to ask questions.
So, I think ganitong nangyari. Parang ilang days pa lang, ilang millions na yung views nito eh. So, yung klaro doon na mensahe, si Tony nakapili ng napakagandang interviewin.
Okay.
Panalong-panalo rin. Siya yung panalong-panalo. And talking about politics or kung ano man dyan. Since this sa atin to ay ano lang naman to eh. Hindi naman tayo makabongbong, hindi naman tayo makakalaban sa kalaban ni Bongbong. We're just talking about these things. It's because it belongs sa society na hindi siya yung parang ano no, hindi naman siya pwedeng ibaliwala or talagang bigyan ng masyadong importansya. It's just a part of our life and we just want to share our ideas.
So yeah, that's what we do actually. Sa ating mga opinion at mga sinabi, hindi naman nila masasabi na mali. Kasi tayo naman ay nagsasalita base naman sa ating personal na opinion. So, thank you.
And baka ano, ganito na lang siguro gawin natin. Invite na lang natin sila.
Interviewin natin. Tayo naman mag-interview sa kanila.
This interview, this video, you will see it in YouTube. Of course, you will watch it in YouTube or you're watching it in YouTube. You can subscribe, you can share to others, or you can comment, you can say whatever you want to, as long as you follow guidelines. And just
Or you
respect.
they can suggest. They can
Yes.
suggest
Yes.
other topics. We're open for that. Hindi naman kami mga mga batik commentators. I mean, we are common people trying to look into certain issues na common nowadays. Na tingnan natin kung ano natin makikita sa lens ng kagaya natin ng mga common.
Ordinary.
Ordinary.
Yung hindi nakapag-research, hindi
Yes.
kung ano lang yung nandyan. Ayan. Pero maganda naman
So,
talaga. Next time i-research natin to. Okay.
Tap mo na, Dad.
Okay, so thank you for everyone. Any comment? Any words?
Thank you. That's it. O parang ano, yung buko dito daw para si Emel.
Huwag ka lang
Diba?
Huwag ka lang magkulikta ng masyadong maraming shoes.
Ukay-ukay, sapat na. Diba?
So ano
Okay.
kaya?
End mo na, Dad.
End na natin to. Ilang minutes na kaya to? Walang...
Yun lang.
Okay, thank
End mo
you.
na din, tingnan natin yung recording.